Superman of the Marvel Universe, Sentry, who was once just another man in the crowd, swiftly rose to become a beloved superhero after he gained the powers. He might come across as a bizarre character initially, but he is quite impressive, and he's even defeated several superheroes throughout his story arc. Besides gaining super strength and enhanced senses, Sentry can perform Bio-Kinesis and photokinesis, and he even has a chemically enhanced physiology. His body is nothing less than a wonder, and he also has a genius level intellect that makes him quite an invulnerable force. So today we will explore Sentry's fascinating powers and tell you all about this superhero considered to be the Superman of the Marvel Universe. Now before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Now let's begin. Who is the Sentry, and how did the Superman of the Marvel Universe come into existence? Also known as Robert Reynolds, Sentry was initially introduced as an old married man who wakes up in the middle of the night after having a bad dream about the Void's return. This origin story was included in a 2005 comic series titled The Sentry, and it was further explored in the first few issues of the New Avengers comic series. The Void was considered to be Robert's old nemesis, and his return would also risk humanity's fate. In reality, the Void was just Sentry's alternate identity, and they eventually merged and became even more powerful. In the comic, Robert decided that it was up to him to save the planet, and he removes a bottle of serum that he had stashed away for a long time. As he looks at the serum, the story takes us back to the time when he was a young, broke man who also suffered from a meth addiction. In a desperate attempt to get his hands on more meth, he ended up breaking into a professor's laboratory and came across the Golden Sentry serum. This serum was created as part of Project Sentry, a collective effort by the USA and Canada to create a stronger version of the super soldier serum. However, the project was eventually discarded, and the leftover materials were abandoned until Robert came across the serum and underwent a life-changing transformation. He gained the powers of 1,000,000 exploding suns, and he even asked the professor to make more of the serum for him. However, the professor warned him that the serum would create a hyper state of consciousness, and that there was no way to know how the side effects of using it for a long time could affect him. Sentry continued to use the serum, and he even created his superhuman suit. He was also accepted by society, as opposed to most superheroes who had trouble forming a connection to the masses. Moreover, he fought against the members of Project Sentry, who tried to contain him and test his newfound powers and abilities. They even had captured him, but Sentry was determined to only use his powers for good, and he broke out of the facility. He established himself as a superhero in a world that had mostly forgotten superheroes, and even made friends with the likes of Professor X, Iron Man, Spider-Man, and so on. How does his chemically enhanced physiology work? Sentry gained his powers from the Golden Sentry serum, which triggered a phase-shifting effect in his body. The serum caused every atom in his body to step ahead of the current timeline and undergo a photosynthetic reaction that would cause his body to be charged by the sun. Through this process, Sentry would gain photokinetic and molecular kinetic abilities that were essentially powered by the sun. These powers were derived from another time stream, where about 1,000,000 stars constantly kept exploding and recreating in a loop in order to give him this strength. Sentry's ability to derive power from the sun led him to earn the title of the Superman of the Marvel Universe. Sentry could go against the likes of Galactus and overpower him, and he was said to be an Omega level threat. Nick Fury's intel sources stated that Sentry had a power level above 10, and even Emma Frost once said that he was a god-like entity. His chemically enhanced physiology made him so potent that his portfolio stated his powers were limitless and that he was almost omnipotent. While working as a member of the Dark Avengers, Sentry embraced his dark side, known as the Void, and finally merged these two selves to become his most powerful version so far. In this form, he is regarded as the most powerful superhuman on Earth, and he has truly gained a reputation as one of the most formidable opponents that one would ever have to face in the Marvel Universe. What is his incredible Bio-Kinesis ability? Among other powers, Sentry had incredible Bio-Kinesis powers that were derived from his ability to manipulate molecules. Since he had the ability to control matter, he could fix biological material or control it, and he once cured his therapist's daughter's health issues by using Bio-Kinesis. In this scenario, he fixed the young girl's spinal problems, but he later used this power to ruin someone's health and give breast cancer to a widow. While these were just physical issues, Sentry's Sentry's Bio-Kinesis abilities were powerful enough to bring someone back to life. He could also use Bio-Kinesis in the form of a regenerative healing factor to heal himself from any injuries. While Sentry's Bio-Kinesis gave him a lot of power, he didn't know how to navigate it, and he was unaware of the true extent of his Bio-Kinesis abilities. In most scenarios, he didn't have to put in any effort, and he could heal someone just by touching them. How physically strong is Sentry? Sentry gained superhuman strength after consuming the golden Sentry serum, but the upper level of his strength is still a mystery to many. However, Sentry has fought superheroes such as She-Hulk, Captain Marvel and Thor, and he has managed to emerge victorious against all of them. He won fights against his dark persona, the Void, and he once went as far as to shatter the moon of Sentry World to find Void and kill him. He has engaged in physical combat with an extremely powerful version of the Hulk, where he managed to break the Hulk's legs without breaking a sweat. His ability to win fights against such entities is a testament to his physical strength, and we can certainly establish that he has limitless power. Sentry is shown to be able to lift at least 100 tons easily, and he had ripped Carnage's entire body apart with his bare hands. He could wield Terax the Tamer's cosmic axe and shatter it apart to pieces, and in one instance, he killed the mighty Ares by ripping his body apart. Eventually, Sentry merged with the Void and gained his strength as well, and he was pretty much undefeatable at this point. In fact, Sentry managed to overpower Scout, who had injected himself with the golden Sentry serum to become more powerful. Moreover, Sentry has the ability to absorb the sun's radiation to gain more strength, and Marvel has continued to push his limits and explore Sentry's strength in greater depth across his appearances. How intelligent is Sentry? Even as Robert Reynolds, Sentry was quite intelligent and had an interest in various worldly topics. However, he gained a genius-level intellect after consuming the serum, and he was smart enough to even figure out all the substances that were used to make an object just by glancing at it. He had in-depth knowledge of topics ranging from mechanics, architecture, cybernetics, and robotics, and he applied this information to construct his own watchtower. Sentry was not exceptionally wealthy, so he managed to source all the materials to create the watchtower without spending much money. He used his expertise to determine how much substances would be required to make every single object within his watchtower, and then he successfully applied all this knowledge to forge these substances into technological equipment and devices. He had also developed the centrally located organic computer, also known as the clock, with some assistance from Reed Richards. Does Sentry also possess psionic powers? Sentry has a wide range of psionic powers that are on the same level as many Omega level mutants. To begin with, he was one of the most powerful in the entire Marvel universe, and his telepathic abilities were on par with Professor X. Even Emma Frost had stated that Sentry was the most powerful telepath she had ever encountered. He used his telepathic powers to erase his existence from every single being's memory on Earth. Besides telepathy, Sentry could perform psychokinesis, and he had stopped Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, with his mind without moving from his place. He had implanted his own memories in Paul Jenkins' mind, and there is no limit to the feats he can perform with the help of his psionic powers. Can Sentry share his powers? Besides being able to perform a wide range of powers, Sentry had the unique ability to lend his powers to other beings around him. He didn't hesitate to help others by sharing his powers, and there's multiple instances of him doing this in the comic books. He once shared his essence with the Hulk so that he could defend himself against Sentry's dark self, the Void. He turned a regular human named Billy Turner into a superhero sidekick named Scout, and he was certainly quite generous with his powers. What is his molecular manipulation power? Molecular manipulation, also known as molecular kinesis, is one of Sentry's most unique abilities, and he first discovered this ability during a fight with Molecule Man. During the fight, Molecule Man turned Sentry into liquid, and they were both shocked to discover that Sentry was able to recover from this attack. Sentry didn't have much control over his ability to manipulate molecules, but it's suggested that he uses this power whenever the Void shapeshifts. Sentry's molecular kinesis powers allow him to heal from any attacks by altering matter in his body, essentially making him invulnerable to any attacks. He can use this ability to create several objects by rearranging the molecules in any pre-existing object or creating a new object altogether. He once conjured up a mini werewolf in his hands, and he used this power to create an entire force field in order to deflect Terax the Tamer's attack. How fast is Sentry, and how do his heightened senses work? Sentry is extremely fast, and he can not only move around at superhuman speeds, but also think, react, and run at the same pace. He has managed to catch bullets mid-air, move at supersonic speeds, and fly to the sun in just a few moments. While it takes light around 8 minutes to reach the Earth's surface from the sun, Sentry took less time, and it's safe to say that he moved faster than the speed of light. He can fly at a pace that bends the mere fabric of speed and time, and he surpasses the speed of sound in order to deflect attacks in just a matter of milliseconds. For instance, he caught a sniper bullet shot from an advanced scroll gun, and he even saved Cornelius Wirth from being shot in the head on one other occasion. Sentry has heightened senses, and he can hear and see things at an enhanced rate as compared to humans. He can hear any sound at frequencies ranging from 0.01 Hz to 200,000 Hz, and he can block out ambient sound to focus on a particular sound frequency. Sentry claimed that he could hear a butterfly's heartbeat from far away. Besides his sharp hearing, he has enhanced vision, and he can spot a single person on Earth while flying miles above the sky. Why does Sentry never feel fatigued? Exploring the secret behind his insane agility and energy. Not only did Sentry perform some unimaginable feats, but he did them without feeling fatigued. He had incredible stamina and energy, and he was incapable of experiencing fatigue after being exposed to the golden Sentry serum. His musculature was quite efficient and didn't produce any fatigue toxins. Moreover, the serum made him exceptionally agile, and he had perfect coordination and balance. His movements were smoother than any athlete in the world, and he had a well-built body that was visual proof of his strength and stamina. Exploring his photokinesis powers. Sentry had some insane photokinesis powers that enabled him to generate, control, and even emit light. He could project light rays, and he had total control over the direction, intensity, duration, and colour of these lights. He could create lights with special effects, and even make his entire body glow with the help of photokinesis. Moreover, he could deflect light in a way that turns him invisible. He had the ability to create a strong pulse of light that contained thousands of lumens of power, and this light could temporarily blind people and even calm them down. Sentry used this light on the Hulk, who immediately calmed down after being exposed to such bright light. Besides all this, Sentry's photokinetic powers enabled him to generate powerful energy blasts with the help of light, heat, or even kinetic force. He could generate these blasts with the help of his hands, but he mostly preferred to use his eyes to create an optic blast. Sentry can emit omnidirectional blasts that would wipe out a huge group of people, and even use optical heat beams to defeat his opponents. Can Sentry revive the dead? As an extension of his ability to manipulate molecules and perform biokinesis, Sentry had the ability to resurrect dead beings. He could bring himself back to life, and he could revive others, especially in situations of extreme emotional turmoil. When Ultron killed his wife, Sentry was quite disturbed, and he even resurrected her with just a touch of his hand. He was not aware of his godly powers at this point, and he was quite shocked with himself when he managed to revive her. Is Sentry immortal? It's a well-established fact that the golden Sentry serum made him immortal and invulnerable, and he also doesn't age at all. He is nearly omnipotent, and he cannot be injured by using any human weapons or even supernatural weaponry. Sentry doesn't feel pain or suffer from fatigue, and many opponents have tried and failed to kill him. Moreover, he has the ability to resurrect himself, and it's pretty likely that he won't die in the Marvel universe. However, he can be temporarily incapacitated, especially if someone targets his mind, but this is quite tricky as Sentry can deflect most psychic attacks. What are some of his notable weaknesses? While Sentry cannot be killed, he does have some weaknesses that can be weaponized by his opponents during a face-off. To begin with, Sentry has little control over his abilities, and he's even unaware of his powers at times. Moreover, he has the ability to manipulate molecules, which means he is susceptible to antimatter. In fact, he had a hard time in a fight against Anti-Man due to his relationship with antimatter. Sentry seems to have a weak psyche, and he can be manipulated mentally. However, this cannot be done by just anyone, and even someone as powerful as Doctor Strange couldn't trap Sentry in his magical illusions. Sentry has shown some vulnerability to energy-based attacks, such as chi, and he can be physically injured if someone powerful weaponizes this against him. Out of all his vulnerabilities, the negative zone is perhaps his greatest weakness. He is at his lowest in this zone, and his health begins deteriorating here, while his nemesis, the Void, continues to grow stronger after mooching off his powers. Sentry eventually did overcome this weakness after he merged with the Void, and he was then able to use his powers in the negative zone. Will we see Sentry in the MCU soon? Marvel has been dropping hints for many upcoming story arcs in the Secret Invasion series, and fans hope they have foreshadowed Sentry's appearance in the upcoming Thunderbolts movie. While nothing is confirmed, it seems like the DNA of all the Avengers will be used to create Sentry in the MCU, and that he will appear as an antagonist against the villainous team known as the Thunderbolts. Moreover, there are rumours surrounding Steven Yeun being cast as Sentry, but he might have a completely different origin story than the comics. If these theories prove to be correct, Sentry will be introduced as a crazed villain who was created as a result of Valentina Allegra de Fontaine's failed attempt to use the Harvest to create a super soldier that has the powers of the Avengers. Of course, we will have to wait a little bit more before we learn about Sentry's unconfirmed appearance in Thunderbolts, but we can most certainly hope to see him in the MCU soon enough. Conclusion. To sum things up, Sentry is undoubtedly one of the most powerful superheroes in the Marvel Universe, and he caught the audience's attention in no time. From his photokinesis and biokinesis powers to his chemically enhanced physiology, Sentry probably has the most diverse set of powers among superheroes. While he gained his extraordinary powers due to a strange incident, over time he has certainly proven that he is worthy of the title of a superhero that falls on the same level as Superman. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.